Relationships can sometimes be so complex. How do we make sure we're being sensitive to others in our relationships and at the same time making sure that our needs or other goals are being met? This is something that is explored by a couple of really interesting stories in Masechet Ta'anit on Daf Tet. At the bottom of the page there of the Amud Aleph, we see that a story about three rabbis, Rav Huna bar Manoach, Rav Shmuel bar Idi, and Rav Chia Mivastanya, who were all students of Rava, the great Amora. When Rava passes away, unfortunately, they need to look for a new Rebbe, and they begin to go to the shir of Rav Papa. However, anytime Rav Papa said something that they didn't think made sense, they would kind of look at each other, the Gemara says, and make faces at each other, and kind of indicate that he was not as good a teacher as Rava had been. And the Gemara reports that Chalash Date, he was very sad. It made Rav Papa very sad to see them doing that. And in fact, Rav Papa even has a dream in which he hears a pasuk being read to him. And the pasuk is from Zechariah, V'achachid et shloshet haroim, which means I will destroy or eradicate the three shepherds. And this seems to be indicating that Hashem is angry with these three people who are kind of making, these three students who are making Rav Papa feel bad. And he says to Rav Papa in a dream that I'm going to destroy these three shepherds. Clearly telling Rav Papa this in a dream is interesting because it's maybe kind of asking Rav Papa, what do you want me to do? I'm telling you I'm going to get rid of them. What do you want? The next day, when the students are saying goodbye to Rav Papa, he says something to them. He responds to them, go lechu lizlu rabbanan, either bishlama or lishlama. It's actually not clear. There are different versions of the Gemara. The different versions of the Gemara are saying very different things. If he said lechu bishalom, then what he was saying is go to your death. That is the terminology that David HaMelech used to Avshalom. He did not intend it to mean, of course, that he was going to go to his death, but that is what happened. And ever since then, when people say bishalom, lech bishalom, that means that somebody is going to die or somebody who has died and is being buried. The lech lishalom is what Yitro said to Moshe when they parted and Moshe went on to succeed. And lech lishalom, after that, became the way that we say, be successful, be protected, lech lishalom. And so the Gemara is kind of is ambiguous because we have two different versions of it. Was Rav Papa agreeing with what was said, that God forbid these people should be killed, or was Rav Papa trying to counteract it and say, no, I don't want them to be killed. I know I'm upset, but I want them to be saved. Okay, so that's one story. The second story is Rav Simi bar Ashi, who was a student also of Rav Papa, and he used to ask him a lot of hard questions. In the shir, he would ask him a lot of questions on what he was saying. And one day, Rav Simi bar Ashi finds Rav Papa praying, davening, falling on his face, and he overhears what Rav Papa was saying. And he hears that Rav Papa is saying to Hashem, Hashem, please save me from the embarrassment of Simi. I'm so embarrassed by his questions, I don't know the answers. And Rav Simi bar Ashi accepts upon himself to be quiet and never asks him a question again. Now, if we look at these two stories, we see that they're similar in certain ways and they're different in certain ways. In both stories, we have students who do not think that the teacher is such an excellent teacher and is doing such a great job. And in both stories, we have the teacher, Rav Papa, the same teacher, who is feeling very badly about that, feeling sensitive about that. And so one thing, by the way, that we see, and not by the way, this is one important element in terms of the sensitivity in relationships, is that we see that teachers have feelings too, parents have feelings too. There are lots of people in our lives whom we don't think of as sensitive, or we don't think of them as people who could be hurt by something. And yet we need to remember that all of these different people are people too. The person the representative we're talking on the phone with, or whatever it might be, these are people who have feelings, and we need to be sensitive towards them and careful of them. Clearly the Gemara is reprimanding the rabbis who were making faces. That is not an appropriate thing to do. And I think the Gemara is also perhaps, and the Gemara, and then the question is, what is the Gemara saying about Rav Simi bar Ashi? Rav Simi bar Ashi decides never to ask questions again. So on the one hand, that is a way of saving Rav Papa from being embarrassed. But on the other hand, that is a very sad thing for the Torah. We need questions, and we need the interaction between teachers and students in order to sharpen what the ideas are, and in order to make the Torah grow. And so perhaps here there's also something sad that the Gemara is ending off with about Rav Papa, that Rav Papa, because he was embarrassed, because he had difficulty with how his student Rav Simi was asking him questions, because of that, he wasn't able to allow the benefit that would come from the interaction between teachers and students. There's a Gemara earlier in Masechet Tani that discusses how teachers and students are meant to interact in a way that is positive and that actually grows the Torah. The Gemara in Tanit on Daf Zayin, just 2 pages before, has Rabbi Chanina saying the famous line of Harbe lamadati mi rabotai u'mechaverai yoter mi rabotai u'mitalmidai yoter mikulan, that I've learned much from my teachers, and I've learned even more from my friends, from my colleagues, but I've learned the most from my students. On that same page, we have also the statement that just like the Torah is compared to fire, because just like a fire needs to be lit by small twigs, not just the big branches, so too the young students sharpen the older students and the teachers, etc. And so what we see, I think, from these stories is a rather complex picture. On the one hand, our ideal is that the teachers and the students should be sharpening each other and learning from each other. On the other hand, we also have to recognize that everyone is a person, and that we have to be careful in how we interact and how we ask our questions and how we challenge. And hopefully, in a healthy relationship, we'll be able to both be sensitive, right? Not have to choose between the making faces and the total silence that we saw in the 2 stories that we mentioned before, but rather come to the ideal state, which is the description on Daf Zayin of Tanit, which is a healthy relationship where there is sensitivity between the teacher and the student, in both directions, but also allowing the Torah to be growing and allowing questions that will allow the creation of great things, of great ideas, and of great Torah. So Be'ezrat Hashem, we should have those ideas in mind as we go into our relationships, both with our teachers as well as with whomever we might encounter.